Our next guest in the studio is the Honorable Hassan Osman. He's a former nominated member of parliament. He's in the studio. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Morning.
You know, when once a Mheshimiwa, always a Mheshimiwa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once you have,
You're Mheshimiwa for life.
Yeah. And because you're expected to attend Harambes and give more than everybody else.
You're even more Mheshimiwa.
You're more Mheshimiwa than you were before.
Once you cross that threshold, you can never give 5,000 shillings in a Harambe. No. Sasa Mheshimiwa anatoa 5,000. Sasa tutaenda wapi?
Sasa sisi tutatoa ngapi?
Sure.
Yeah. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa to Kenya's biggest conversation. That's the hot seat of the situation room. And to welcome you, CT has the day's proverb. Today's proverb is from?
Proverb from days from Tanzania. Mm-hmm. The United Republic of Tanzania. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Unknown information is like a dark night.
Unknown information is like a dark night.
Yes.
What do you make of that proverb, Ada?
Something dark, you need to shed light. So today, I'm very happy to be in your studios to shed light on something that is of concern to us as members of the public. And this concerns the issue of political parties.
Karibu. Everything that you say, we are going to have political parties, we like that conversation.
Yes.
Also, City, somebody says that you do send a shout out to her immediately. Her name is Latifa.
Latifa, greetings to you.
From Kenya.
From Kenya.
Very good.
A bucket load of them. In fact, next week we'll send a whole truckload of greetings.
Watching live from a village called Monda in Spain.
Good village, that one.
It's a village.
It's a good village.
It's a good village.
We are going to adopt that village.
My daughter went to school.
In Monda.
In Monda?
Yes.
See?
Must be the same school.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it called?
Monda Technical.
It's a different one. It's Mabea design, but yes. I think I've seen Monda Technical.
Yes.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good. Now, Mheshimiwa, you have been pursuing a particular issue, and this was on financing of political parties.
Right.
First, you were nominated into Parliament by Jubilee Party.
That's correction. I was nominated to Parliament by UDF.
By UDF?
United Democratic Forum Party, where I was the chairman.
Yes, the United Democratic Forum Party. But then you decided, now let's look at political parties and how they are behaving in this country, who's funding them, who's registering them, how are they registered, are they filing their returns and all this and the other. And you started by, first of all, writing to the Register of Political Parties and saying, I want information.
True.
The Register of Political Parties gave you some information, told you some of this information that you're seeking is public. You can find it on our website, you can find it in the Kenya Gazette, but the others, here is the information that you're seeking. What information were you looking for and why?
First, the issue that really made me to write to Register of Political Parties is the insanity that is in running of the political parties in this country, and which has contributed to the mess that we are having in governance in our country, whereby after every cycle of 5 years of election, you find that the country is not in peace, the country normally is in turmoil, and we have a lot of problems politically. The issues are about 14 that I wrote to her, to ask her to shed light on it and give me a reply. And I think the list is, I asked for the full list of registered political parties, a list of provisional registered political parties, a list of approved name searches for registered political parties, political party headquarters, the registered political parties under Political Parties Act, and political parties fund beneficiaries, among others. But what she gave me was the first, the list of registered political parties. Despite giving me the list of registered political parties, if I can, I think I've shared already with you, it is really ridiculous. What she gave me was that most of the parties, the list that she gave me, there was no telephone contacts, there was no email contacts, there was no website which are requirements by law. And I took my initiative to send somebody, a court process server. A court process server is normally an officer of the court. So to go and look for some of the parties that are within the vicinity of the Central Business District. Unfortunately, the report that he came and filed back with my lawyers was that none existed in the buildings that they were registered. None. 5 of them. I gave him a list of 5 names. None were there.
Sorry, let me just clarify. None of what existed?
None of
the
the
5.
parties, the 5 parties that I singled out,
Yes.
out of the 90 parties that are within the vicinity of
the CBD.
the CBD
Yes.
in Nairobi, the addresses she gave me, none were in those buildings.
All right.
Okay. And this information, again, just for purposes of clarity, this information came from the Registrar of Political Parties.
I have the documents with me here.
Okay. And you
for your
then
presence.
sent somebody in their professional and personal capacity to then go and confirm this, and they came up with nothing.
No. And the owners of the building said that they have never been here.
Okay.
And secondly, you find that some of the contacts he gave me for those parties, if I take an example of Jubilee Party, they said it's still at Pangani.
Yeah.
They moved some 6 months ago. So for a member of a public who wants to go to register with Jubilee Party, or if a member to go and get some information, there's some misleading information from a state organ.
Is it misleading? Or it's just,
Outdated.
people moved and we've not been able to update the new information and we're getting round to it.
Under the
So
law,
if you were to check in November, for example, you would find it because it's been updated.
under the law, there are inspections, quarterly inspections of political parties by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, which means those returns must show. They should say that they have moved from that address. And once the party moves from that address, it must be gazetted in the Public Kenya Gazette to show that they have changed their position.
Address.
Something again that is very interesting, what I asked for and she gave me, is that another headache that we're having in this country. We have 90 parties that have already been fully registered. We are having now provisionally registered 28 parties, according to the documents that she gave me. We are having search for names, 38 parties. In total, it makes 151 parties. Check where on earth or where in which country do you have 151 political parties?
But the law does not limit the number of
law
political
does
parties.
not limit, but where I'm going, and because of the knowledge that I have, I've been a party chairman, I have been a secretary to Political Parties Liaison Committee. I understand the registration of political parties. The law is there. It doesn't hinder anybody to register. But what I'm saying is that it is easier to go and buy a bottle of soda in a kiosk than to register a political party. No, it is easier to register a political party
Than to buy
a bottle of Coke from a kiosk. That means, where am I going? You will find the issue of membership. If you want to register a political party, you have to have 24 counties. That's a half of the country, and also have 1,000 registered members of the political party.
From all the 24 counties?
24 counties.
Okay.
You will find that the murmurs the last time that we had is that some of the membership that is being claimed are from the M-Pesa registration, from the buildings that you go and register your ID, and some other things that I don't want to mention. So basically, it is upon the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties to prudently look at the lists of the membership. Are these people real? Yeah.
Okay.
So I think by 2027, when we are going to the other circle of election, we are going to have around 300 to 250 to 300 parties, which is a big headache.
Okay. What spurred you to start to look into this, to say, okay, look, something is not going wrong, rather something is going wrong, things are not going right? What made you say, no, we have to look into this? You've been a member of a political party, obviously. Things seemed to be okay, one could assume. What made you now say, no, we need to find out what's going on here?
At times in life, you say enough is enough. And you find that at the moment, what is going on in the country is the issue that is concerning governance. And the issue concerning governance, every now and then, every cycle of election, after every cycle of election, we have this problem of where you have the PPGs, you have the bipartisan talks about the issue of governance. And the first stop for anybody to participate in politics in this country is to be a member of a political party. The political party nominates you, takes your name to the Register of Political Party. The Register of Political Party clears you, takes your name to IBC, and you go to the public now to be voted in as an MCA, a senator, or a National Assembly member. That is where you get the people who will govern you in this country. If at the start you are not getting it right, but having political parties that are not compliant with law, then at the end of the day, you are getting the mess that we are having.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Every year in, year out until eternity. So we have to. That is what made me to go to a court of law. The matter is in High Court Divisional, Constitutional Division Court. And I want her to supply me with all the documents that I've asked for, including the financial. She has given me about the parties that are being funded from 2013 up to now. And I also wrote to the Auditor General to ask for the audit, and she didn't also give me what I needed. She skipped some.
So what I'm hearing you saying, Hassan, is you detect some lack of sanity in our political space in the name of political parties. And you point that now to the office of the prefect not being effective in terms of carrying out its mandate. The prefect should be registering parties. The prefect should be making sure that the parties adhere to the law by doing some basic housekeeping, like number one, can you file your returns quarterly? You say the law says quarterly. So every quarter, the political party should file its returns, and the returns should be saying these are the leaders, these are our registered addresses, this is our PO box, this is our email address, this is how you can get in touch with us, these are our members, every quarter. And they seem not to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. What is supposed to be yearly are the returns from the political parties, but the inspection report is by the office.
The office
they have
itself.
Offices in the field, where they go physically. And funny enough, if you go to some of these counties where these parties have written that they are there, their offices are open during election and closed after the day after election. And by law, they must have an existing office where the existing office has to be open, manned, and the register of the membership and other requisite policy documents of the party are there. What you find now, which is a bit funny, is that, and it's very easy, why I'm asking for her to give me even the copies of the leases of those offices. Definitely it will lead to, when you are paying the owner, the leases should be there, the premises should be titled and registered premises, and the payment you are going to make from the funds that you receive, or the funds that basically is being contributed.
You raise from your members.
If your members or by the well-wishers. That I will know. You will get most of these parties, once I receive those documents, are not compliant. And it will now lead to my next course of action. Yes.
Okay. What do you see today? And I think it's very interesting because you speak about, look, some of the sham that we see in the practice of political parties in the country today. We could argue about the whole side about whether political parties are vested in ideology and all of this. But what, in terms of the form, function, and practice of political parties, do you see comes as a direct result of this, which you've pointed out as an issue, before we even get to the financing and all of that? Of all of these things that seem to be amiss in the process, what do we see that is a direct result of this mess that should then be sorted out?
If you have a mess in the initial stages, you will get a mess at the end. Who are the lawmakers? The lawmakers, and I've been one of them, are the people who are elected through the mechanisms of political parties. And you might get now, if you're not doing it right, you will find you're not getting the right or the correct person or people who are supposed to lead this country. And one of the issues is that at the end of the day, you'll get yes men and women.
You know, when one focuses on the numbers of political parties, sometimes what I feel is sometimes lost in the conversation is what political parties are intended for. I think the country with the largest political party is actually India. Well, given their population, they have 1,866 political parties. But are we saying that the issues that you have raised would then deter or derail political parties from achieving the mandate that they ostensibly set out to actually achieve?
One, if you are not compliant with law, the Constitution, the Political Parties Act, the Code of Conduct, and regulations, you are not supposed to be in that business. We must adhere to the law of this country, because some of them, currently, 48 of them are being funded by the taxpayers. 48.
What's the total budget to the 48?
I can't, it's almost 4 billion, whereby 3% of the 4 billion goes to the register of political parties.
Okay.
Although they receive some of these money in tranches, but at the end of the day, it's money that will be paid.
Yeah.
The first year they've already got their money. Now you have seen in the papers, in the news, that they're now asking for more money, led by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, saying the funding is not enough. But this funding has a purpose. And let me do some small exercise. I don't know, the three of you are members of any political party, but just for the purpose of the listeners.
Okay.
If I asked you, what is the colors of your party? And number two, what is the ideology of your party? Number three, where are the headquarters of your party? What is the manifesto of your party? This money is meant to sensitize the public. You are given this money to do workshops, to sensitize the public on the policies, the manifesto, and the ideology of this party, and the governance of the party, and where this party, if it comes into power, will want to lead this country to.
We have a little problem here. This process of delegating authority, I think it goes with very many other intended consequences, because that is what is intended. But it appears the practice is, so long as those who are in those political parties meet, there's something about Naivasha and the dissemination of information.
Oh, when you go to Naivasha, things happen. Okay.
For some reason, the Rift Valley, Naivasha specifically works wonders. And if Naivasha doesn't do the trick, you go to Mombasa, it works even greater wonders. So when all these political parties and their ilk end up in these places, they are doing the very things that you've just mentioned on behalf, it's delegated on behalf of those who elected them.
Of the members.
Yes.
Of the members of the party.
Yes.
We'll talk about the party that had nominated you to parliament. It's UDF, was it?
Before you go there, if you want to check your membership, you are told do #509 and then the star 509
hash.
If you do that, you will not get the results as quickly as you want. But how many Kenyans have internet? How many? So basically, what I'm trying to say is that you have seen in the last general election very senior members of this country, even some people in government and in public service, complaining that their names have been in parties that they don't belong to. Yeah. So that is something that has to be brought to an end.
Our guest this morning, Hassan Osman, is a former nominated member of parliament. He's been on a quest to find out exactly what's happening in our political party space. He's written to the register of political parties asking several questions. One, a list of all registered parties. Second, a list of provisional parties, a list of all name searches for political parties, how they are funded, who's funding them, where their registered offices are, and also has written to the Auditor General and said, so these parties that are being funded from the state, how have they been spending their money? That response has not come yet from the Auditor General's office, has it? So that's what we're waiting for. But then some things keep emerging when you're talking about now these parties and how they behave. In terms of parties are supposed to be having elections according to their own constitution on certain times. I don't remember political parties having many political parties not having elections. So UDA is going to have its election sometime. Jubilee scratches head.
Perhaps.
Wiper scratches head.
Perhaps. ODM
we'll see. Perhaps. And all these things. And they're supposed to be filing returns every year with the register of political parties. So what does a registrar do when they don't meet their own constitution?
There are penalties.
In reality or?
In law.
Okay.
There are penalties.
What form do the penalties take?
You can be fined, you can be deregistered if you don't follow the law.
Have we had any parties deregistered on such an account?
Out of, since the enactment of 2011 Political Parties Act, it is only Kenda, according to the record she has provided me, that has been deregistered out of the 90. Although some of the 90 came later.
Yeah.
But it's only one party that has been deregistered, that is Kenda. You find, why do you talk about national elections when you don't do your own elections? That's a question, Eric, you're asking. Yeah. Why? Because the products in the national elections are from?
Should be coming from the party
political
elections.
Parties. So when you are not doing elections, you are doing selection yourself.
Yeah.
Why do you want to talk about
Election,
the end product?
But Mheshimiwa, is this not something which actually, in my mind, sentence stage, has very little to do with elections? It has very little to do with political parties, but it has more to do with the disregard for the laid down laws of this country by people who claim to be members of political parties, to lead political parties, because if something as simple as holding simple, it's there. Your own constitution states it and you don't. And then you find that it's something that is practiced by very many political parties, many of whose members happen to be lawmakers. So now, if you have a disregard for the law at that very high level, what exactly are we saying we have?
You know, the office of ORPP is a state organ set up in the constitution as one of the institutions that are running affairs of our country among the other institutions. And there are set down laws. There's a constitution, as I said, and there's an act, a Political Parties Act. ORPP is the referee.
Yep.
And you know what a referee does when there's a fall. So you should fall back to the law. But if you don't put a stop at that level and you are the referee, then that game will be messy. So there must be some negligence by some person or some people at a certain stage.
You know, you've been a chairman of a political party.
Right.
You've been a lawmaker as a nominated MP. Do you think the office of the Registrar of Political Parties is truly independent as a state office?
To me, as it concerns the law, the Constitution and the Political Parties Act, yes. How you want to play it, if you are the registrar in that office, that is upon you.
Legally and on paper, yes it is. But practically, Mheshimiwa, is it?
We cannot have escape. There is moral and legal obligation on the person who holds that office. If you don't do that, there's no gun on your head. I'm not seeing any gun on anybody's head. So at the end of the day, if you are morally right,
I will show you a gun. The current Registrar of Political Parties was in an acting capacity for many years. That's a gun to her head.
the former was. This one is not acting. She didn't act. But the other one acted for almost, I think, 10, 11 years. But the issue here, even if you are acting.
Even Andrito, before she got confirmed, she acted. That's a gun to somebody's head.
What I'm trying not to get into, Eric, is the issue of putting that blank that you are in that office, you are an ombudsman, you are Kenya National Human Rights Commission, you are what these institutions that are there,
Yeah.
that today, I will say, because you are in that office and there are some powers that are not seen, that today you don't do your work diligently. What I'm saying is that you don't do it, then at the end of the day, I said now, like what I've done now, enough is enough. I've gone to court on a public interest petition. But at the end of the day, if we find we have a court of law, I don't want to disgrace and go into other issues. But what we are saying is that she has or he has, whoever is in that office,
Legal
adhere to the
basis.
law. Adhere to the law.
Okay.
You know,
For example, let me give you a very good example here. How many? You're questioning me. Let me question you for a second. How many political coalitions do you know exist in this country?
3.
3.
Yes.
Which one and which one?
Kenya Kwanza.
There's a Kenya Kwanza, there's
Azimio.
Azimio, and there was a third one. What was it called?
Third Way Alliance.
No. There was a
What?
third coalition.
But even the name states it's a coalition.
Yeah,
You might have seen. Okay, let me help you.
Yes.
There's one called Taifa Coalition.
That one.
See,
Taifa Coalition, Eric, you are scratching your head. Your friends don't know, and even me. It's only that after I got a reply from Registrar of Political Parties, I got, where am I going to? The documents that are lodged with the Registrar of Political Parties is a public property. Azimio Coalition, who has ever seen any? And I asked for Azimio Coalition, I asked for Kenya Kwanza Coalition documents, and that one, Taifa. I was told, go look for the offices.
Go ask them. Don't ask me.
That is her role as a state organ. We are paying her salary.
should those documents not be lodged with her as well?
It is lodged with her, and she must make it public by law.
Meaning anyone can go there and say, I want
And
to see
yes, I want to see it, and you see it and read. What did these people agree? These are the people who are going to govern us. And these are big, people who are going to be in opposition to look at how we are being governed. But the issue is, you have seen one of a very senior member of political parties one time saying that I signed something and I didn't know what I signed. I don't want to mention, but you people know. And a very senior person in such a matter. He says I signed the last page. And he's not the only one. It happened to me and Honorable Kiraitu Murungi when we folded
You
our
also
parties.
signed and didn't know
We
it was-
signed the last pages.
okay.
As
Yeah.
you were folding your parties to
So-
join Jubilee.
Yes, when we were folding. We signed the last pages. So those ones history. But what I'm saying is, the public has to know what is written so that they know how they are being governed and by who.
Let's talk about funding. Some of the reports that you got, the response that you got was with regards to political funds. The 2022-2023 political parties fund has 14 parties that are receiving money from taxpayers. UDA is receiving the lion plus elephant's share of this, 345,800,000 shillings. ODM is receiving 184,717,000 shillings. Jubilee, 81 million. Wiper, 43 million. Then the other parties, Devolution Empowerment Party is receiving 8.2 million. There's Maendeleo Chap 348,000. Progressive Party of Kenya, 1.8 million. Forum for Restoration of Democracy Kenya, 15 million. Kenya Social Congress, 729,000. Democratic Party of Kenya, 3.2 million. National Congress, Kenya National Congress, 1.1 million. Party of Independent Candidates of Kenya, 526,000. National Rainbow Coalition Kenya, that's now Kenya, 4.5 million. Some of these parties, why are they receiving the money?
You know, after the amendment to the constitution of political parties.
Yes.
Now, and that's why I'm saying the policy makers might be looking at the interest, not the interest of the public. Mm-hmm. And I've been one of them. And it has reached a time now we whistle it out. The parties that receive the funds are 48. The highest, as you have said, mm-hmm. is United Democratic Alliance, 345. But before even 2022, 2023, 2021, 2022, Jubilee received 1.1 billion.
1.1 billion shillings.
ODM received 1.3 billion.
Yes.
What has that money done? What do we see?
In one financial year?
Yes, in one
Between June and June?
Yes, June and June.
1.3 billion shillings has gone into one political party.
Yes.
And this money should be used to help make people aware
civic
education about the party, telling people
governance.
About their own governance structures and all. All right.
Are we saying, therefore, that this money did not go towards its intended purpose, and that there's evidence to the same, that indeed we can prove that that money did not go?
Once I get the reports
from the Auditor
General, I don't want to preempt, then you can call me another time here.
Oh, we will call you.
Yes, and I will give you everything.
But what is your general feeling, City? Do you feel 1.3 billion shillings has been adequately utilized to...
When I consider that we are anecdotally losing 2 billion shillings on a daily basis, 2.5 billion shillings for a whole year is pittance. But now, to get to the heart of the matter, this matter of political parties and what they do with the money, political parties are normally led by politicians who in this country are the people who lead us in setting the example of how best to disregard the law. So, if that is the ethos by which they conduct their affairs and the affairs of those they represent, how then do you think that when they get money, they are suddenly going to be held responsible when everything about them proves to be the contrary of the very thing I'm saying?
Can we look at what these funds are meant for, to then have an understanding of whether they're being properly utilized? In its enactment of saying, okay, political parties fund, this is what this money is supposed to be used for, what are some of the things that we say should be done? And then we can say, actually, all right, if this money was put aside for this, and this, for example, member mobilization, and then we can go across and say member mobilization actually took place, then you say, okay, yes.
Paying rent.
Paying rent for official party
headquarters,
etc.,
offices across the country.
Yes. Member registration, because then you need your digital presence as well as, stationery, etc., mobilization. Then you can say yes. But without that, then it's difficult for us to say, we can't just look and say, no, these guys look like they've been wasting money. I mean, how?
Out of the 90 political parties, 48 are funded.
Okay.
In this season of this election cycle. Out of 90, 42 are not funded. Where do they get their money? to run the offices, 24 offices across the country, pay their staff. Who is this so generous?
Do they actually have all these parties, these offices that we speak of? Is there evidence that there are parties right across the country? There may be a presence. But remember, one of the things that we have seen over the years is all you require are stalwart members in certain parts of the country, and they will offer you accommodation. And your party can find some space to function.
Operate like an equity agent.
Kabisa.
How to procure someone.
It doesn't.
For many people.
You will not exist.
KCB Mtani.
Yes. No, but the law does not allow that. You have to have a registered lease with the owner of the property.
Mm-hmm.
And that property, under the law now, KRA, will definitely have to have a pie of what the money you are paying. Yeah, as a landlord.
Would the Auditor General provide us with a list of all these registered officers? Because after all, public funds are supposed to be spent on these. Would they be in a position to provide us with the registered officers of all the political parties?
And the copies of leases.
Exactly.
That's the job of the Auditor General.
That's exactly what I'm asking for. And once I get that, and at the back of your mind, I know you guys are also saying, okay, if you go tomorrow to one of the counties, the paint, a building the way you say it is painted during the election, and certificates are just being given by the roadside. And what is it? At the end of the day, why at this moment, the question that you have asked, I'm a Kenyan. And I really feel a lot of pain. Not that at the moment I'm not in an elective position or something of that nature, but running of parties, regulating parties, I have been in those positions. But there's always a time something has to come to an end.
What do you want
tomorrow, you can talk about this other initiative you're talking about. All these initiatives, what is happening in Bomas, what is happening where, you will never ever get it right if you don't now sanitize this mess that we are talking about.
There's a question you've asked. Where would the other 42 parties be getting their funds from to run their offices?
That's a very pertinent question.
Was your party UDF funded by state?
We were not funded, but we were funded by the people who were elected in our party.
Okay.
Yeah, they funded us.
So elected members
Yes.
pay a certain amount every month from their salary to run party affairs. Where else? So that's one.
Nothing else, to be honest, during that time.
Was that sufficient?
Membership, no. If well-wishers can come in, they are a bit handy. They can come in, but not at that. You know, some of the funds you are supposed to get is from subscription of the members.
Yes.
I wish you are on call to ask any member of a party how much has he contributed as membership fees. It's not there. You talk about parties having 8 million registered members. And if you multiply even by 10 shillings per month, that is quite huge, colossal amount of money. So basically, what I'm saying is that even at that time, we were getting those small funds from our members. And I know the members of the elected members of these parties are contributing.
Yeah.
They're contributing. But it's not enough money. What about the 42 who don't have even a single elected? It means they have no overheads. They have no offices. They have no staff. And these are the things that would make them to stand deregistered. After notices, she gives notices, or he gives notices, the office gives notice. If you don't comply with this and this and this and this, you stand deregistered.
I get you now.
What happens if you then seek information from the registrar of political parties and they do not comply and not give you the information? What action can you take?
I'm in court.
That's
already.
it.
That's why I don't want
Compelling.
to get into the nitty-gritties of what I've already, because the matter is in court. But because it is a public interest matter, the public should understand why I went on their behalf to court to petition.
But even before going to court, there is the Office of the Ombudsman. The Office of the Ombudsman is copied in all your requests to the ORPP. Have you reached out to the office of the Ombudsman to intervene?
The copies are for information.
Mm-hmm.
But also we have written to them
To the
that
Ombudsman's
we have
office.
not got what we wanted and no action.
What's the end game here, Hassan?
The end game
Directly.
one.
So first,
yeah.
you want some political parties that do not comply deregistered. You want this money either spent or returned to national. What do you want?
One way or another, I have said earlier that at the end of the day, after we get the records, definitely it will be again a matter that would end up in court. Why? We will prove that these parties are not compliant. And then we'll be asking for the orders that to the Register of Political Parties and the Attorney General on what actions to be taken against these parties that are not compliant. The law is very clear. The law is very clear. The final person to deregister the parties after being informed by the registrar is the Attorney General.
It's the Attorney General. So we're looking at, based on what you're saying, and if truly there is an appetite to follow the law in terms of what it says, political parties notwithstanding, because oftentimes say, oh, well, it's a political party and then it doesn't, see, we'll get... Okay, if we're following the law and being very serious about that, we're talking about the possible deregistration of political parties and asking you to go back and sort out yourselves from the beginning, or we're saying that party, as it is presently constituted then, will not be able to operate in Kenya. Should that be a position that would be taken?
The first thing is to prove that there have been an existence against the relevant laws of this land. And we will come to the next stage that you need to be there after we have already proved that you are not compliant and you should not have been there. You are not supposed to nominate anybody to run for any office in this country. Forget about even getting funding from the taxpayers.
Let's throw in some politics. And I see a question that's been asked by Maura on social media, right? It says, no, it's actually by Evans. Are you a gun for hire by UDA?
No.
To finish village parties?
Totally no.
Remember, just recently, UDA was forcing smaller parties in Kenya Kwanza to fold and join UDA.
No, I am not.
This has nothing to do with any
I
other.
want the listener to analyze and be very objective in what I'm saying, despite his thinking outside the box. Don't go that way. Just analyze what I'm saying, and I'm doing it for the benefit of our nation and for the benefit of our public.
I think there are grounds. There are very serious grounds to what you're raising.
And by the way, I'm not a member of UDA.
If, and we have actually talked about this before, if a political party is not holding elections, first you are given a provisional certificate because you said, these are our interim officials, we are going to hold elections within 2 years. I remember in the case of Jubilee, and we raised it here. And then Jubilee did not hold elections, and they applied for an extension for some time. And they also did not hold elections at that time. Should they have been deregistered?
Precisely.
You have a political party that has not held elections and it has interim officials in office. You cannot have interim officials for 5 years, surely, in between an election cycle and going into another general election with interim officials.
Eric, precisely. What I'm trying to say is that you find even the governing councils of most of our parties, and I'm talking from a point of knowledge. When you want to do an NDC, you just go in these mutas and get enough people to fill the place and just put colors on their body. You just brand them.
And you call them delegates.
Yes, and the 24 counties you're talking about, might be even none of them will come. You'll just have traditional dancers there in different Kenyan cultural regalia.
Hawa ni watu wa coast.
Yes. Hawa ni watu wa wapi? Northeastern na mabuibui.
Thank you very much, Hassan, for joining us. And yes, we wish you all the best. When you get information from
I want to put in my final word.
Yes, please.
Is that the office of ORPP is a den of political corruption.
Okay.
Political corruption in us, it does not apply its mandate.
There you go. Put them on notice. They're receiving funds, they're a state office, they should do the job that they are required to do by the law that establishes them. I agree with you. Hassan Osman is a former nominated member of parliament. He's been here as our guest this morning asking, do we have some sanity and hygiene in our political party space? Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.